the number one challenge that I see people facing is overthinking. So here's my definition of overthinking. Overthinking is the endless running of negative scenarios. Overthinking is the endless running of negative scenarios. Now, the reason overthinking is always about negative scenarios is that you're never paralyzed by overthinking about positive scenarios. You will not wake up in the morning in cold sweats because you think life is going to be too good today. You're not paralyzed at work because you think your company's going to make too much money if you're not careful. You're never worried about your marriage because you think, oh, wow, my husband is going to be too happy today, or my wife is going to be way too happy today. My kids are going to be perfect. You never overthink parenting because you think your kids are too awesome. You only overthink based on negative scenarios. So you need to realize that overthinking is the endless running of negative scenarios. And you never move into negative scenarios. You don't wake up in the morning going, I think I'm going to think about the worst case scenario. You fall into negative scenarios and you move into positive scenarios. You never fall into positive scenarios. You don't just accidentally start thinking about all the positive options. You either fall or slip into negative scenarios, but you have to move into positive scenarios. And this is what I think is really, really important to factor in. You know that old, and it's a country song, and if I could say so, it's like one of the dumbest songs I know, but it's the song, Jesus Take the Wheel. Oh, you all know it. I know. It's like, even if you don't like country music, Jesus Take the Wheel. That's the dumbest mental framework I've ever heard. Because if you give Jesus the wheel, no one is holding the wheel. Because he didn't come to hold the wheel. He created you to hold the wheel. When you're not holding the wheel, the plane will go into negative scenarios. You have to hold the wheel to fight the turbulence, to fight the gravitational pull of crashing, and you have to move toward a positive scenario. So overthinking is always about endless running of negative scenarios. So one of the things Aaron always talked to me about, always, is Dad, give some practical applications. All right. And I don't know why he always asks me to do that, because he knows I don't. And but I'm going to try to give you some some practical applications. All right. You know what you do? Okay. Tell me if this is you. You shouldn't be having negative scenarios. You shouldn't be in negative thinking. You shouldn't always be like in that, in that space. And the moment you find yourself in negative scenarios, you know what you do? You get down on yourself. Here I go again. Man, I'm back into my negative thinking. And so you know what you do? You go into more negative thinking. So here's the thing. Stop punishing yourself when you realize you've been in negative scenarios. What you need to do is immediately move into a positive scenario. So use a negative scenario as a trigger that moves you into a positive scenario. All right. So here's your action point. Overthinking is always negative scenarios. So immediately move into a positive scenario. But unfortunately, that won't solve the problem, but it will at least stop the downward cycle of negative thinking. The only thing that stops overthinking, and I didn't share this before, the only thing that stops overthinking is action.